Hey everyone, I'm Kibin Alleyne and welcome to Open. Coming up on today's show, millions of pet lovers cannot afford or do not have access to veterinary services and pet resources, with over 20 million pets living in poverty with their families as a result. We'll be joined by the President and CEO of the Humane Society of the United States, who will speak about how her organization is addressing these issues. Then we'll speak to a multidimensional business owner and author who is using passion for writing to educate, heal, and inspire others. After that, we'll be joined by an entrepreneur who will speak about her organization and the services that she is providing within the Latinx community. Finally, we'll be joined by a pediatric endocrinologist who will speak about how a decline in youth summer camp attendance has led to negative holistic health outcomes for children. So stay tuned. All this and much more is headed your way because we're now officially open. Hello everyone, I'm your host, Kibin Alleyne, filling in for Dr. Bob Lee, and you are watching Open, the live and interactive program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to your TV set. Don't forget to stay connected to us through social media at BronxNet TV. Leading things off, over 20 million pets live in poverty with their families in the U.S., and 70% of pets living in poverty have never seen a veterinarian. A new poll shows that only 28% of people are aware of this national crisis. This is a serious issue that is being addressed by the Humane Society of the United States through its More Than a Pet campaign, which aims to help pets living in poverty with their families and keep people and their pets together. Joining us to discuss is Kitty Block, President and CEO of the Humane Society of the United States. Kitty, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us both.
Now, can you tell us a little bit more about your organization?
Sure. So the Humane Society of the United States has been working on this issue for a number of years. It's a national crisis. When you think about 20 million pets living in poverty, if you think about what that means to the families who are trying to care for their animals, get them the resources they need so they can keep their families together, it's a real issue, and it's one we're dedicated to addressing.
Now, can you talk a little bit more about pets living in poverty with their family? How is this affecting the animal? Of course, most people who have pets want to provide a loving and safe, place for their animals. But can you talk a little bit more about how large of an issue this is for many pets throughout America?
It is a very large issue, and More Than a Pet campaign is really about raising that awareness and how people can help. We all know the bond between our animals, their pets. They mean everything to us. It's unconditional love, companionship, and people will do anything they can to take care of them and keep them together. So this is really about how do we work with corporate sponsors to get resources, vital resources to these communities, underserved communities. Times we go door to door, partner with shelters, partner with other organizations. One of the corporate sponsors that we work with is Smalls, and they are based in New York. Together, these corporate sponsors helped us provide like $50 million worth of pet supplies, food, leashes, vital resources for the animals in need.
Now, I was really shocked to hear this, and it's actually very sweet, but it's a unfortunate reality that a lot of people are willing to give up their livelihood just so that they can be, close to their pet. For many, that's a friend or a family member. Can you talk about the emotional, support and, just how these pets can add so much to the lives of the people that they're with?
Pets change our lives. They bring us such companionship, love. It's documented how it helps people calm down, reduces stress levels. They are our family. And yes, as you said, people will go to great lengths to protect them, to keep them, to get them the resources they need. We have one of our most recent polls says something like 91% of people owning pets will make real sacrifices for their animals. And that's amazing, but we don't want people to have to choose between putting food on their tables or getting the pet food that their animals need. That shouldn't have to be the choice. And so this is exactly what our work is, our campaign is about, is to get those vital resources to people in the communities in need and to let everybody know you can also be a hero. You can also be a support in your community.
And can you expand on the idea of being a community hero in regards to changing the lives for pets and families? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
So we recognize individuals who work in communities, real heroes, and we work with them to get them even more support so they can do their work. But anybody can be that hero. Anybody can be that support. If you're a pet parent, buy an extra can or bag of dog food, cat food. You can bring them to your local shelter, pet pantry, sometimes food banks will take that food as well. It makes all the difference. Or if you know someone in your community who has to take their animal to a vet, but they don't have the transportation, simply driving them there, taking them, can make the difference whether or not that dog gets that vital important session that he needs.
And what can people do, people who own pets can do to learn a little bit more about that specific pet? Because as many of us know, but maybe some people don't know, every pet has different needs and are going to need different things. What can people do to ensure that they're providing the best, for their pet?
What I recommend is to learn all of that and more is to go to our website, humanesociety.org/morethanapet. And there you'll learn about how to get the resources, what you can do, where you can go in your community, and how you can help. And that's really important to feel when you see things that are hard, how you can be empowered to make a difference. And of course, how you can support our work and our programs.
Now, as the president, can you just talk a little bit or reflect on, how it feels to be kind of doing this work, for so many people, of course, across the country, but especially here in New York?
It is so important to be able to do this work. We all love our animals, and it doesn't matter who you are, where you are, where you come from, what your income level is. That should not determine whether or not you can have a pet and care for the pet the way you need. We all love them. And this is why it's so important that we get resources to those who need it. Our study also showed that 43% of the US population at some point in time has had real problems getting the resources they need for their animals. So this is big. This is important, and this is why we really need to join in on this campaign.
Well, Katie, I want to thank you so much for joining us and talking about this with our audience. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
To learn more about the Humane Society of the United States or to get involved with their More Than a Pet campaign, visit their website at humanesociety.org. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Open after this.
I remember when the Bronx did not really have a media outlet properly representing the people of the Bronx.
BronxNet provides for the community by being a community where people can be empowered to share their voices.
We are in a really great place technologically. We've got all the resources that we need to be effective.
Whether it's through cameras, storytelling, editing, we have provided those services for 30 years.
BronxNet's mission is to be a voice for the community.
To educate, to inform, and to inspire.
And you can be a part of it. We've built studios for you.
Welcome back. Our next guest is an award-winning author, a teacher, and an MWBE state-certified business owner. She joins us to speak about how she has created a multi-dimensional business through a 40-year passion for writing. She'll also highlight her latest works and so much more. So please welcome to the show, Athena Dent-Alleyne. Athena, thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, greetings to everybody out there. How are you? How you doing, Kibin?
I'm doing well, and I'm so glad to be able to talk to you, especially since I know that you have a background in writing. As a journalist, that's also, such an important thing to have. So I'm so excited to get into it. I'd really like to know, can you just tell us a little bit about your journey as a writer and how that all started for you?
Well, first I want to say I'm proud to have been born and raised in the Bronx. Came from a very strong family upbringing. It was all about community, everybody looking out for each other's children, just very close knit. And I'm also a nerd, so was very studious as a kid. And one of the things, that I loved to do was write. Whether I was looking up at the sky or when I would take trips with my dad or my mom to the zoo, looking at the animals, I would write about everything. If I saw a ant crawling on the ground carrying the leaf, I would write about that. So it started off, when I was 14 years old, I started writing poetry, and, it developed into screenwriting as I got older. A very dear friend of mine gave me a book called The Screenwriter's Bible by David Trottier, and it just opened up my world to just this creativity of being able to just take a character and broaden it, give it a place, give it personality, and then also give it other characters to develop just such a wonderful story. So I wake up with creativity and I go to sleep creativity on my mind all day, every day. So I just have such a love. I've never taken a class. I consider myself self-taught. Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. And I love to hear that because it shows that so many other people can do it themselves as well. So I'm really glad that you were able to share that with us. Now,
Yes.
since then you've become so successful and, done so many things. Can you talk a little bit more about Unlimited Artists? Where did the name come from and how has it evolved into a multidimensional New York State MWBE certified business?
So I initially started writing screenplays after I evolved from poetry. And then I started shopping around one of my screenplays, which was called Silk. And I was able to, have two people read it, one off Broadway, another person who does Broadway work. And they both said the same thing, turn it into a book. And that's exactly what I did. I tried for 2 years to get an agent. I actually have an envelope full of 60 rejection letters. But then it was my husband who encouraged me. He said, listen, you're smart, you're resourceful, and you're a people person. You can do it yourself. So that's exactly what I did. I relocated to Yonkers and went to the library where I knew everybody. And that's where I got my start doing self-publishing. And Silk, which is actually one of my best-selling novels, is based on literary fiction. It's about intergenerational women who are friends, but each woman goes through her own personal life journey. But then I also decided that I wanted to help other people express themselves. We all express ourselves creatively, whether it's through dance, through song, but I was meeting a lot of people who were writing, but they either had writer's block or they were discouraged by other people. They started something and they never finished it. So then that's when I extended my business into professional literary services. And then at the time, I became, I was a single mom before I met my husband, and then I was taking martial arts. So one of the things about me, I'm not afraid to try anything, and everything that I do, I'm successful at it, but I also give it my best. So that's why I call myself Unlimited Artist and my business, because I don't limit myself to whatever that I can do and offer to other people.
Now, how has this journey, especially with writing, been a therapeutic outlet for you? And what is the message or goal that you have for each piece of work that you write?
Well, what did I wanted to say about writing? Writing can be a source of healing for people. I came out of an abusive marriage with two toddlers. My youngest son is on the autism spectrum. I think he is high functioning. They're both young men now. But for me, when you've been hurt, when you've gone through pain, there's various ways um, that you can kind of go. You can go to the left, which is, go through self-destructive behavior, or you can go to the right, which is find a healthy way of healing. So writing was my way of healing. But what I also did was that by incorporating that into my business, I wanted to help make other people heal and also educate and inspire others. So what I did, I write various genres, poetry, children, young adult education, and literary fiction. And each of my books has morals that you get from the book about faith, about courage, about accepting each other's differences. And what I do with each of my books, so for example, with my young adult education book, Francesca's Journey, that is about a little girl who goes through foster care. And I use that book based on my personal experience working for ACS as a child welfare specialist. And I have been successful in implementing that book into 3 after-school youth programs, the YWCA of Yonkers, the YMCA of Yonkers, and Sister to Sister International. And I'm actually just very proud that the youths that read my book, they actually loved the book, they liked the book. And what it also does, it helps with social development, literacy, and just really having children understand that being a foster child doesn't mean that they were alien, that they're people just like you.
Now, can you quickly just let us know what are some tips that you would share with somebody who is maybe in the beginning of their writing journey and kind of wants to follow the path similar to what you did?
One of the things that I've pretty much explained to most people that I've met is do what you feel that you want to do. Don't listen to everybody. People are very critical. People can defeat your spirit. Follow whatever it is that you're trying to convey and express. Start off small because you have to take baby steps when you write. You're not going to get everything right all at once. It takes time. You can start off with a legal pad. That's exactly what I did. I didn't have a computer. I finished college on a Smith Corona typewriter while all of my other classmates had computers. So I tell people, believe in yourself. That's number 1. Number 2, focus on whatever it is that you're trying to do. 3, take your time. Be patient. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. Because when you're writing, it's just like dancing. It's just like singing. You have to take it one step at a time and build and elevate. And you will get to a point many, many years from now where you feel that you have achieved whatever it is that you had started initially. So I just tell people, just take your time. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't listen to everybody and believe in it, whatever it is that you're trying to do. And that has carried me for the past 12 years with Unlimited Artists. My books have never been on a New York Times bestseller list, but I have so many people who have been inspired by my books.
Now, where can people go to learn more information about you, your upcoming work, and everything that you're doing?
Absolutely. So you can visit my website. My website is www.unlimited-artist.com. And you can also contact me at my email, which is DENT, period, the letter A, 8629@gmail.com. I do public speaking engagements. I do book signings at churches, community centers, libraries, art galleries, and also schools and after-school programs. So you're more than welcome to contact me. I'll be more than welcome to come out. And then also too, I also sell quality merchandise. And right now we're getting ready for Mother's Day and graduates, and I make customized baskets that you can actually not just give as a gift, but what the quality of the basket is, it'll just make a person smile, and it'll be just for that person, personalized with their personality. So I'm all about making people feel better and think better about themselves, and making that, and hopefully it being contagious, spreading love through what I write, spreading love through what I make, and spreading love through what I do.
Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us and, sharing a lot of your journey with people, here at the Bronx. I think it's so important, especially with the Bronx being one of the boroughs that people often recognize as a borough that struggles with reading and writing. It's so amazing to hear somebody come from this borough and be so successful in that field. So I want to thank you once more for, joining us and sharing that.
You're welcome. Big up, Bronx.
Right.
Always. Born and raised. Thank you so much, Kibin.
Thank you. To follow everything that Athena is doing, you may visit her website at unlimited-artists.com. And if interested in supporting her, you may visit her online store at unlimitedstore.square.site. We have to take a quick break, but stay tuned. We have more open for you right after this.
Only 57% of New York City high school students are college ready by their senior year. "55% of high school graduates either have no plans to attend college or are uncertain that they will ever attend. "34% of young adults don't go to college because they can't afford it. Discover what's possible. BronxNet's education programs, internships, and opportunities help engage and inspire Bronx youth and beyond to pursue their passions. Be a part of the BronxNet family. Whether you're interested in our shows, joining a class, or donating to support our mission, visit bronxnet.org to learn more.
Thank you, BronxNet. Congratulations on 30 years. What an amazing accomplishment. On behalf of myself, Alina Dow, and I represent the Dow Twins and the Dow Twins Show, who are young producers. They started, I think, when they were 11, and now they're 14. They started making 30-second little fun facts, and now they are doing 30-minute shows. And it goes to a testament of how much you guys do in the Bronx to make young people want to continue to be involved. I wish you 30 more amazing years and beyond. Thank you for what you do.
Welcome back. Our next guest is an entrepreneur, and she joins us to speak about the work that she is doing with her organization and much more. Please welcome to the show, Clara Lucia. Clara, thank you so much for joining me.
Hello, Kibin. How are you?
I'm doing well. So I'm so excited to talk to you about your business, Breaking Through Consulting and Coaching. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself overall and how you got started in this business?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. So, like you said, I'm an entrepreneur, and this is actually my 10th year anniversary. So it's a milestone. and I'm super proud of it. And I would say the reason why I'm an entrepreneur is because after being in corporate America for so long, I really thought to myself that I needed to do more with my gifts and talents. I really wanted to bring full speed, this idea of working with people and choosing the people or the, companies and organizations that I wanted to work with. And there was something very specific about purpose. So I wanted to really do more in that regard with organizations and people, because what I realized for myself is that purpose is really a change maker. And once you're able to hone in on what that purpose is, then all other decisions for life and career are kind of a little bit easier to make. And then at the end of the day, if you're living out your purpose, you can live more satisfying lives.
Now, I want to talk a little bit more about just the idea of, having this business and being a professional coach. Can you talk a little bit more about that? And how does it differ from, being a counselor or being a psychologist?
That's a great question, and I'm glad you're asking it. So being a coach is being someone that supports a client, a person, alongside a journey of discovery and a journey of vision. So that person might be looking for, how to get stuck, how to get out of being stuck in work, for example, or how to do better time management, or how to kind of like choose the next chapter of that person's life. And a coach, or the services that I provide, I come alongside that person, and through provocative questions, through sharing observations, we go a little bit in kind of emotions and processing emotions, then that person is actually finding new insights and new ways of navigating that specific topic and identifying key actionable steps towards succeeding in that. Different than a therapist or different than a counselor, they treat symptoms or they can treat traumas. I don't do that. I don't prescribe medicine either. I'm not equipped to do that. So there's fine lines in what I do and what these other disciplines do. What I would tell you about coaching and the coaching that I provide is we actually go into the past to understand how do we became who we are now, because all of the things that we are now came from our relationships with our caregivers, with our parents. It was then that we created this vision of ourselves, others, and the world around us. So that's a very important area of understanding how we became who we are, so that in the here and now, in the present time, we're able to actually maybe question some of those behaviors or question some of those beliefs that we grew up, with. And then from this point on, be able to envision or to kind of like see what's possible. What other ways of being can I develop moving forward?
Now, I'm curious to know, what type of clients do you see, when they go to you, what are they essentially looking for? So yeah, can you give us a little bit of background on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So my ideal clients, Kibin, are those who realize that there's something off in their lives. There's just, they have lost kind of the excitement, they have lost the north, and they're more on autopilot. So they wake up and they go through their routines, and then they go back home at night and they feel unfulfilled. They feel that there's something missing, and they start to question, is this it? Is this the reason what I came to live this life? Is that all there is? So these clients are ready to dive deeper. These clients are ready to invest the time and the effort in going deeper into those bigger questions about, what are they here for? Is this all that there is? And to try to, envision and create a life that they can be more fulfilled and satisfied with. It could be clients that, for example, are in a point of their career where they have kind of like reached the top ceiling and they don't know where else to do or what else to kind of do with their gifts and talents. So that's when they start asking questions, should I shift companies or should I look for something else? And one of the things that is a common denominator in all my clients, we go back to purpose, because the purpose is that thing that will allow them to really focus Purpose really gives us the grit and the determination that we need to move forward. And, purpose is like a compass. So having clarity about their purpose in their essence, what are their values? What is that is most important to them? Once you hone in on that, then those decisions become a little easier to make.
Now, I'm so glad that you're mentioning this because I think that oftentimes when people hear that someone is having these type of thoughts, like, what is my purpose? Is this it? People often associate it with just like midlife crisis. But in fact, so many people of different ages kind of encounter those questions. I want to talk about Gen Z, which is, obviously the very young adults in our society right now may also be dealing with this sense of like, feeling lost or not understanding their purpose. Can you talk a little bit about what you've noticed in regard to that generation and, what are some things that you do in regard to this generation or just young people in general when it comes to this?
Yeah, a good question, Kibin. And there's so much out there. There's so much noise. There's social media. There's the regular news. There's so much pressure. There's peer pressure, and all these expectations about who we should be and what we should do are constantly tapping in our heads and in our hearts. And the question about purpose is so important because it is personal. Purpose is not the same for me than it is for you. And really, when we respect that and when we realize that and create a space where we can even go deeper into discovering what that is or getting curious about what that purpose is, it really helps. And what I found with the younger generations is they are filled with energy. They are filled with kind of like a desire to do things and to explore. However, there's so much pressure socially that those kind of things kind of shut down. So they lose interest, and it's really easy for them to get kind of distracted by all these shiny objects. And asking those questions is essential because imagine what I could have been doing 20, 30 years ago if I would have started with the question purpose. What do I find meaningful? What are some of my values? What is it that I really want to pay attention to? What comes naturally to me? So if they start asking those questions now, imagine what the full potential that they can reach moving forward. They're going to be guided by things that are important to them as individuals, not as the masses say. So it's really important that they spend the time and that they, pay attention to that little voice inside telling them where to go and how to do things. And the other thing is, you don't have to do these alone. There's a lot out there about being individual and like just keep on going and hanging there, and it doesn't have to be that way. We were created to be in community and for community, and life is much better when we're able to actually have a group of people that we can rely on.
Now, I want to talk about COVID. COVID has changed the way we think about life, the way we think about, friendships, our loved ones, and also the way we think about work. Can you talk about how since COVID, people have different attitudes about working, especially those who are maybe younger and were just entering the workforce, during COVID? How have you noticed that has had an impact on how people kind of view the rest of their lives?
Mm-hmm. I see COVID as a wake-up call, Kibin. What COVID did was kind of put us on stop. It was a hard stop about how we were living life up until that point. And there's great things that came out of COVID, believe it or not, and that is a sense of going inward. If you think about it, everything about the world shut down. Our communities, the way that we did social interactions, going to work, all of that came to be shut down. And when you're shut down, we really didn't have any other place than to go inward, to start asking those questions and to start really questioning the way about our lives, spending quality time, going on a walk in the middle of the day. And it really was kind of like a reset. It was like a reset in our system, in our bodies, in our, mental health, in our emotions. And that, I think, allows us to really start putting things in perspective. What is it that we value the most? What is it that is important to me? Like, what are the things that I want to align more with so that I can live life a little bit better, and so that I can pay attention to my health and well-being? And I think the other thing that COVID did was to kind of reset the way that we think about productivity, right? Productivity 10, 15, 20 years ago was, as long as you're on your desk and I can see you from 9 to 5, then you're good to go. Nowadays, we can do work at any given time in the day from wherever we want to do it. Look at us right now having this conversation. That's what technology has allowed us to do, right? So I think the line between work and lifestyle has become a little bit thinner. And at the same time, we can be productive, if not more productive, from home or from places that we actually can enjoy and have breaks within. So I think it's a combination of positive things that COVID, left for us. And one of them actually is the term coach. I think coaching has gotten a lot of public notice and more recognition, and I think it's now like a buzzword, which is another kind of thing that COVID gave us.
Now, with that being said, why is it important that, people have access to these type of resources in regards to professional and personal coaching?
Listen, I truly believe that we need someone outside of our own heads. We need someone that we can rely on, that we can count with, that we can process things through. And the beautiful thing about coaches, at least the coaching that I provide, is it's a non-judgmental space where you can come as you are. You don't need to pretend. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to tell me what I want to hear. This is all about you showing up. And the more authentic, the more truthful, the better off the process will be for you. So coaching is really this space where you can come to navigate through a hard topic that you have, or a challenging circumstance. And through this process of co-creation, you're going to find the answers, because all the answers are within you already. You just need someone that you can process things with. And I think that's the beautiful, thing about, what I do. And that's the practice that I have chosen, because I think that's the way that I can make a grander impact around me.
Now, as I mentioned, so many people from different backgrounds, different age groups, obviously want to be on that journey to, finding themselves and kind of living their life to the fullest. Where can people go to learn more about you and to learn whether or not this is the path that they should begin on?
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Kibin. It would be a pleasure and an honor to have a discovery call or a conversation, answer any questions. You can find me on my website, which is startbreakingthrough.com, startbreakingthrough.com. And we can have a connection. We can have a conversation to see what are you curious about? The idea of having a coach or having some support, and see if this is something that might help you, become the person who you were meant to become, and reach new heights and live life more fulfillingly and find that purpose that could be your true north moving forward.
Well, Clara Lucia, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Kibin, for having me.
Once again, to learn more about Clara Lucia's consulting and coaching services, you may visit her website at startbreakingthrough.com. Stay tuned, we have more from you on the way.
Hello, my name is Tyrone Lowe. I host a show at BronxNet called The Legends, where I bring real legends, DJs, upcoming artists, actually people from the past that's into entertainment. I want to thank BronxNet. First of all, I want to thank for the 30 years of them actually being active here. It has opened a lot of doors for me to the point where I'm branching off to have my own network. Fulfill your dreams here. That's all I have to say.
Hey everyone, it's your girl Kat from the Kitty Rose Lifestyle, also from The Next Chapter, where we discuss shades of gray every week right here at BronxNet, Saturdays at 11 p.m. Wow, 30 years of BronxNet public access television. I'm a girl from Brooklyn and came to the Bronx 25 years ago, started my journey on BronxNet on public access television in 2016, and BronxNet is where I got my start. BronxNet, I feel like, is a home away from home. They support all of my endeavors, and I wouldn't have been able to be on any of the other channels if it wasn't for the fundamentals that I learned right here at my start here at BronxNet. So I am so appreciative. My son says I should stop telling people I'm from Brooklyn because I've been here now, Bronx strong, for 22 years. So I'm so grateful, and I wish you much success in 30 years, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30 more, because public access is necessary so that people like myself can have a voice. Yes, BronxNet, it's your girl Kat from Kitty Rose. Check me out every Saturday at 11 p.m. right here, Channel 68, The Next Chapter, where we discuss shades of gray. Mwah.
So BronxNet is a great place for anyone to come to if you're looking to learn how to get yourself in the door, how to get your toes wet, if you will, when it comes to media, when it comes to editing. And I would definitely recommend it to anyone who really is interested in, learning how to work, whether it's in studio production, whether it's field production, whether it's learning how to operate a camera, whether it's learning how to interview and host. This is the place for you to be. This is the place for you to sort of get your feet wet and be amongst other creatives here in the Bronx who are also trying to learn and develop their own content.
19.7% of Bronxites currently experience food insecurity. Meanwhile, instead of these nice, colorful foods, this is the best food that they have access to. If this sounds like you, there are a bunch of resources to get healthy food for free or cheap. If you want to help, you might consider donating or volunteering in one of these places. Community fridges like this one are all over the city and allow New Yorkers to conveniently donate extra food to people who might need it. Go to this link and find your nearest one. Food banks and pop-up events like these provide millions of healthy meals to families in need. These organizations are distributing meals to Bronxites as we speak, and are always accepting donations and volunteers.
Welcome back. Summer is just a few short weeks away and families are gearing up for vacations. However, studies show summer youth camps are experiencing a decline in attendance from children, leading to an increase in child obesity, along with several other health issues. Joining us now to discuss how parents can keep their kids active and healthy is pediatric endocrinologist Dr. Rinku Mehra. Doctor, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate being here.
Now, can you tell us a little bit more about your practice as a pediatric endocrinologist?
Yes, so my practice is based in Virginia, but I see patients across the country in 4 different states. And I see children with hormonal conditions. In addition, I counsel patients on concerns about weight and weight management and healthy living. And I see children age 0 to 25, both in person and virtually. And I'm located primarily in Virginia and Maryland, but I see patients in Virginia, Maryland, Florida, and Iowa right now.
Now, what makes, the Mehra Clinic different and unique compared to, possibly other clinics?
Yeah, so our clinic, my clinic was really designed to spend more time with patients. And so, I have an hour blocked off for my patients. What I found when I was in a traditional healthcare setting was that I had, 10 to 15 minutes with my patients. My patients and their parents often left confused because I didn't really have enough time to spend with them, and they didn't even know how to get back in touch with me. So my practice style now is that I have an hour per patient for their new patients. I have 30 minutes for follow-up appointments. And then I give patients my direct contact to my email and text messaging, and so they can really access me for any questions or concerns. And it's more about, high touch environment where they know that I'm an advocate for them and for their child's health.
Now, as I mentioned, there has been a decline in summer youth summer camp attendance. which has led to poor health outcomes for many children. Can you just explain, what are some reasons for this? Why are we seeing this? And, in response to that, why is this kind of unfortunately having a negative impact on children's health?
Yeah, so, I think, summer camp traditionally has been a great environment for children to go during the summertime, to make new friends, to learn new activities, and to, explore interests that they would not have been interested in otherwise. I will say that there's been a decline after the COVID-19 pandemic. I think that, COVID-19 really palpably altered the contours of many industries, and summer camp was affected as well. Parents had to worry about the safety of their children. A lot of the camps were shut down during the COVID-19 pandemic. And then many workers, both parents, mother and father, or both parents, ended up working remotely. And I think the impact of that has been sustained for the most part, in that, parents started looking at their finances as well and saying, we're spending so much money on our on summer camps for the kids, and we're both at home. Does it make sense for us to spend that type of money? Just to give you a sense, I mean, a overnight camp can cost up to $7,000 to $9,000 for the week, and a lot of parents can't justify the cost of that. Daily camps also cost anywhere from $400 to $500 a week, and if parents are both at home, it's sometimes not making sense for them to have these children go to camps and spend money there when the parents are both at home. So I think there's also health and safety concerns that have continued post-pandemic. Parents were worried during the pandemic of keeping their kids safe and prevention of COVID. And I think some of that they realized during the pandemic that they could keep kids at home, they could keep them engaged, and there are some remote learning opportunities that they can do. And so I think the cost of camp and transportation issues that parents have, and then remote learning, all have shifted the summer camp experience.
And in response to that, we're seeing, unfortunately, children are gaining weight and are kind of leaning into more unhealthy habits. Can you talk a little bit more about that and how it's affecting the child, the health of the child?
Yeah, so, I think, again, we as a society have started moving more towards stationary behaviors, and children in general are exposed post-pandemic again to, more screen time, more phone use, video gaming, and they, as a result, are moving a lot less, and they're allowed to, or, they're exposed to more food availability at home. And so that sort of impacted children gaining weight and being less active. And it was increased before the pandemic, but I think post-pandemic it's gotten worse. As a result, we have seen this explosion of children who have had, not just weight gain, but obesity and early puberty, because those are direct impacts of weight gain and, early menstrual periods in young girls. And so, these changes that we have in our lifestyle make significant impacts in the health of our children, and then in their health as they move into adulthood.
Now, I also want to add into that. I know here in New York, we often have a lot of food deserts and a lot of food insecurity. And so a lot of families who are maybe in poverty, or maybe they're not in poverty, but they just live in areas that don't have access to healthy food. That's also a reason why we see sometimes these families kind of adopt unhealthy eating habits. Is that something that you've noticed in your practice? And is that also something that could be contributing to why children are, kind of leaning more in towards obesity?
Yeah, so interestingly, when we have environments where there are food deserts, we do see, an increase in weight gain, interestingly. And the reason for that is that there's less exposure to healthy food and, fruits and vegetables, or the fruits and vegetables that are available are much more expensive than some of the other types of food that are higher in caloric density. And so we're definitely seeing that across the US and probably across the world, to be honest, because, as you know, the cost of groceries and food has increased significantly post-pandemic in the past, several years. And families are just not able to afford the healthier food options.
Right, and I'm so glad that you pointed out that with summer camp, you kind of put some prices in there that let people know that summer camp is pretty expensive, and so when you have a parent that has to think about whether buying groceries or taking their kids to summer camp, of course the groceries are going to come first, but even with that, it's very expensive, and not often people have the resources to buy the healthier food. Do you have any advice for parents when it comes to? I guess we can talk about just staying active first, and then talking about healthier eating later. What advice do you have for parents who may want to help their kid be a little bit more active, especially during this time where we're kind of post-pandemic, but still some of those behaviors we see we still kind of take on some of those behaviors that we had during the pandemic?
Yeah, so I think the first thing to do is really focus on eating habits as a family. I hear many parents say, well, she, has to eat less, or my other child, doesn't have a weight problem, so they can eat whatever they want. And I think the first thing we have to focus on is what can we do as a family to change our eating habits? What can we take out of our home? What types of food are there that are probably not good for anybody to have? I think that's the first thing, is really focusing on the family. The second piece of it is what activities can we do, whether it's outside or in the home, that get us active. If you, are someone who, likes to track steps, I think, everyone has a phone. If you, even track your steps, even walking outside, I think, I checked, if I don't make an effort, I probably only walk 1,000 to 2,000 steps a day, because I'm in an environment and a job where I'm sitting almost all the time. And so I think just getting out and getting more steps in and walking, I think is helpful. It doesn't have to be anything high tech. You can watch YouTube videos, to do exercise if you want. And how can we do that as a family? So if we focus first on, our activity and our movement, I would start there. And then as far as the food is concerned, taking out some of the higher calorie foods, making sure that, everyone in the family is eating similar types of food. And even looking at your grocery stores and seeing, can you buy some of the frozen vegetables or frozen fruits, because they tend to stay longer, and you can use them easily in dishes, and having, vegetables available with some healthy protein sources, even in the, if they're frozen. I think that's healthier, a healthier option than doing takeout or stopping at your local fast food restaurant for food.
And I also want to add that losing weight and being healthy is a very difficult task for anybody. So I can imagine that it may be a little bit more challenging for somebody who is a teenager or a child. Can you talk about some of the challenges that come with it? And what can parents look out for so that they're well equipped to deal with those challenges?
Yeah, so during puberty, there's a lot of hormonal shifts that happen in both boys and girls. They tend to be hungrier. They tend to want to eat more. And so what they gravitate towards is whatever really is available for them. So if you have higher calorie foods in your pantry, your teenagers are going to gravitate towards that. Not to mention, a lot of these teens are very busy. They're busy with school. They're busy with their activities after school. Sometimes they're running from activity to activity or social events. And so really having healthier food available at home is important for the teens, recognizing that they may be hungry, and maybe focusing on foods that are, cut up or easily available to them when they open the fridge. Are there things that are healthier choices that they could pick over some of the higher fat and higher calorie foods in the pantry?
And I also, understand that this can be a sensitive time for, a lot of adolescents, and, dealing with weight can be a sensitive subject. How should parents approach that with being mindful that they're not saying anything that can kind of trigger the child to feel maybe negative about where they are in regards to their body weight? What are some ways that we can be just a little bit more mindful and, be supportive, but not to the point where it's making the child feel self-conscious about themselves?
Yeah, so this is a very sensitive topic, and I think what we want to do is be aware of what our words are. Our words matter. The things that we say to our children matter, and really focusing more on health as a family rather than pointing fingers and saying that making negative comments about weight, or calling someone very overweight or obese even, because I think children are very sensitive to that time, to this time, and really sensitive of their bodies. they are sometimes even made fun of at school. And so being recognizing that, being open, having open communication with your children, just to sit, make sure that you're available and that they feel comfortable talking to you when they have a problem. But really, my approach has really been to be very sensitive and really focusing more on health, that we want you to be healthier, want you to be able to run faster, do certain activities faster. And we as a family want to be healthier and focus on our health so that we can, move faster or do certain activities together and live longer and prevent going to the doctor, actually.
And I also want to add, just coming from the Bronx, we have so many cultures, and within these cultures, there's foods that are rich, and they have so much going on, and we love to eat those foods, but sometimes those foods can be a little bit unhealthy for us. What advice do you have for people who may struggle with wanting to stay close to their cultural identity, but also still wanting to have a healthy option?
Yeah, I mean, this is a very good question. And, I know for myself, in our culture, our food is very rich in caloric density, very rich in fats and, higher fat. And our culture, my culture in general, we have a higher incidence of type 2 diabetes. And so I think it is very important to, maintain close to your culture, but maybe finding out some substitutes. For example, instead of cooking things with heavy cream or milk based, are there things that you can substitute with, water or vegetables, like, water and, lower fat types of oils like olive oil? Can you cook in olive oil instead? Can you base your food more with vegetables over some of the creams and heavier type of food that actually are more satisfying to you, but actually tend to have you gain weight? And over time, can you change how you're eating, one day at a time? So not with every meal, but can you swap certain things out for healthier options? Starting with a salad, I think, is always a good option. But each culture is going to be different. And so really looking to see, are there things that you can, take some of the higher caloric content of these foods out and swapping them for lower fat options.
Well, Doctor, I want to thank you so much for joining us and educating our community.
Thank you so much for having me. My pleasure.
To learn more about Mehra's clinic and walk with Dr. Mehra, please visit her website, themehraclinic.com. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for today's show. I want to thank our guests for joining us and you, the viewers, for tuning in. Keep following BronxNet TV for continued coverage. Thank you for sharing this space and time with us.